Welcome to the next in our Esperanto 101 series, prepositions. Prepositions are those little words that link together different phrases to add some context to a sentence. Ultimately, a prepositional phrase acts like a big adverb. It describes how things are happening. I walked around the house. I walked to the store. I loved everyone except the cat. I am without a book, and so forth. So they add detail to your sentence. Prepositions work in Esperanto much like they do in English. There's just a few differences. Here's some basic ones that represent location. Al la domo, to the house. El la viro, from the man. C'è nia hemo, at our home. En Pennsylvanio, in Pennsylvania. So you see these work just like their English equivalents. One thing about Esperanto prepositions is, as we will see later, they're a little bit pickier about when you use them. We use at in English for a lot of different things. And at is very precise in Esperanto. It really means at a particular place. Like if I wanted to say I'm going to do something at 3 o'clock in English, that's not at in place, that's at in time. Esperanto has a different way of expressing that, which we'll come back to later. Here's a few other common prepositions. Kun, with. Kun miai katoi, with my cats. Sen, without. Sen espero, without hope. De John, of John. Gis morgau, until tomorrow. With is one of those prepositions where we have to be precise about what we mean. With, in terms of kun, really means in the company of something. I went to the store with my dog. I am hanging out with my friends. You cannot use kun to say, I shot him with a gun, or I hit him with a sword. If with is the sense of what you used to do something, there's a different preposition for that, which we'll see shortly. If you used kun in a case like that, it would mean you shot him and you were carrying a gun, but that's not what you shot him with. Or you hit him and you had a sword, but that's not what you hit him with. One of these prepositions deserves a little bit of extra attention, and that is de. De is important. It's the preposition that shows possession or ownership. Esperanto doesn't have a construction like the apostrophe s in English. It only has de, which is kind of like our preposition of. So if I want to say John's cat in Esperanto, I have to say la cato de John, the cat of John. If I want to say Karen's house, I would say la domo de Karen. If I want to say the people of New York, I could say New York's people in English. New York's people are among the finest, or whatever. But you definitely have to say la homoi de Novyorko in Esperanto. The history of China, la historio de Chinio. So de is a very important preposition because it shows possession or association. There are 4 prepositions that each have a P and an R and a vowel. So they could be a little tricky and you have to memorize them. 2 of them are pretty easy to use, you just have to remember to keep them straight. The other 2 are a little bit more complicated in terms of telling them apart. They are pro, por, per, and pre. Now per and pre aren't too difficult to use. Per is the preposition you use, as I mentioned before, for the instrument you use to do something. If you shoot someone with a gun or kill someone with a sword, you're going to use per for the instrument, not kun. And pre is for talking about something. I would like to talk to you about your essay. I would like to talk to you about golfing. Pre is the preposition for that. Pro and por are a little trickier. They sort of both can be translated for or because of something, but there's a slightly subtle distinction between them. And this is a distinction that can trip up Esperantists. If you Google for Esperanto pro and por, you will see lots of people trying to provide breakdowns of how this works. Pro is used to talk about the cause of something, the reason you did something, as in what caused you to do it. Mi ridas pro lia naiveco. I laugh because of his naivete. I'm not laughing for the sake of his naivete. I'm not laughing to encourage him to be naive, but his being naive has triggered the laughter. So that's pro. Mi accetis gin por vi. I bought it for you. You didn't ask me to buy it. In this case, you didn't cause me to buy it precisely. I bought it for your sake. So that's por. Here's a sentence that uses both that might help make the distinction clear. Mi accetis gin por si pro via consilo. I bought it for her on account of your advice. What caused me to buy it was you gave me advice. But who I bought it to benefit was her. I wanted to give her a gift to make her happy, so it's for her, and that's por. But why I did it was you suggested it would make her happy. You told me she likes, roses or pizza or whatever it is. So I use pro to describe the advice you gave me, which was the cause of my action, and I use por for the beneficiary of my action. Another way to look at it is this. Pro looks at the past and por looks at the future. Pro looks at the causes or the reasons you did something. Por is looking towards the future effects of it. I want her to be happy in the future, so I bought it por she, for her. I bought it because of something that happened in the past, pro your advice. Your advice was in the past, so that's pro. Her happiness is in the future, so that's por. Here's a couple mnemonics that work for English speakers. Pro is about what happened before, the causes, so it sounds sort of like pre in English. Don't confuse that with the preposition spelled pri, which means about. Por rhymes with for. For whom are you doing this? Now there's another word in Esperanto that is not a preposition at all. It's a conjunction. It links two separate sentences, and it's pronounced char. It's also translated because, and the distinction between it and pro is just grammatical. Pro is a preposition, and so you use it when it's a noun or a pronoun. That's the reason. Mi accetis gin por si pro via consilo. I bought it for her because of your advice. That's not a complete sentence, it's just a noun, your advice. So I use pro. But if I say, mi accetis gin por si char si amas min, I bought it for her because she loves me. She loves me is a complete sentence, a complete thought. And so I have to use char there because it's a conjunction, not a preposition. Now I said Esperanto is sort of pickier about when to use prepositions than English is. So there's a catch-all preposition, yeah, which you can use in cases where you kind of think there ought to be a preposition to link something, but there's not really a preposition that fits, you're not sure which one it is. You will see Esperanto grammarians say it would be theoretically permissible to use yeah in place of every single preposition, but that gets kind of silly and ambiguous. So you want to use the prepositions when they're appropriate, but yeah is the placeholder preposition. Here's some cases where yeah is really the right thing to say. I believe in love. If you said mi credas en amo, That would be like, I'm inside of love and I believe in something. You're actually inside of love. Well, that's not the case. You believe about love. You believe for love. It's not really clear what preposition we use, and in English it's just convention that we say in. So, mi credes je amo. If you're making an oath or sort of cursing or by heaven or something like that, by, if you used per, that would mean it is because of this thing that I'm able to make this exclamation. Well, Caesar's ghost is not personally there saying, you're allowed to make an exclamation now. So it's not per la fantomo de Cesaro. It's on or towards Caesar's ghost. You know, on my mother's grave. You're not actually standing on your mother's grave when you make the oath. So you use ye here. Ye la fantomo de Cesaro. Time. As I said before, time is not appropriate for the preposition che, which means at. Time is a place for using ye. I'll go at the 3rd hour, which is how you say 3 o'clock. Mi iros ye tria horo. If you're drinking or toasting somebody, you're not drinking to somebody's health. That is to say, you're not like drinking towards their health, like hoping that the drink is going to somehow hit their health. You're drinking in honor of their health, right? Again, it's just convention in English that we say to. So, ni trinku, let's drink, ye via sano, to your health, about your health, for your health. Now, in English, prepositions always take those objective pronouns. You don't say with I, you say with me. But you may have noticed before that we said por she, not porcine. So in Esperanto, you're normally using the regular forms of the pronouns. Excuse me. You're not sticking the N on the end of the pronoun or on the end of the noun. If you do something for a dog, you do it por hundo. You're not doing it por hundon. But there is a time to use an accusative, the letter N, in a prepositional phrase, and it's the accusative of direction. In English, we have these two separate prepositions, in and into. One means static, in, not moving, and the other indicates motion or direction, into. Esperanto just has the preposition en. So if it means it's static, he's in the house, nothing's changing, you just use the regular form of the noun, en la domo, in the house. But if you want to indicate that he's moving into the house, that there's a change happening, that the house or in the house is a direction rather than a place, then you add en and you make it an accusative. So you have li iris en la domon. He went into the house. If you said li iris en la domo, it would mean he went in the house. He was already in the house and he moved around inside the house, and the whole time he was in the house. When we say into the house, we usually mean he's outside and then he's going in. So that's a change in direction. So that's domon. The book is on the table. La libro estas sur la tablo. It's on the table. Put the book onto the table. Metu, which is the command form of put, metu la libron. Now, again, book itself is in the accusative here because now it's the direct object of put. Metu la libron sur la tablon. Onto the table. The book isn't on the table now. You're going to put it onto the table, so you need to make it accusative, tablon. Now you may say to yourself, but wait, isn't the concept of changing from off the table to on the table included in the concept of putting? Doesn't putting imply I'm going to move it? Well, no. Let me show you an example. Metu la libron sur la divano sur la tablon. Now the first prepositional phrase is on the couch. Divano is couch, but it's not accusative. It doesn't have an N on it, which means the current state of things is the book is on the couch. The second prepositional phrase uses the same preposition, sur, but now it's sur la tablon, which means that's a change. So we're going from the couch to the table. Sur le divano, sur la tablon. Which book do I put on the table? The one that's currently on the couch. Now I should note there's a couple prepositions, al and el, you saw them before, to and from. They automatically contain direction. They imply that there's a change. You don't have to say al la domon. It means to the house already. You don't have to say el la urbo, or rather you don't have to say el la urbon, because el la urbo means from the city already. Al and el contain direction. But words like sur, which is on, or en, which is in, do not. So if you want to change on to onto or in to into, you need to include the accusative en. This same principle applies to adverbs. If you take an adverb and add an en to it, you've turned it into a direction word. Let's take the root for home, heim, and instead of making it my home, which would be a noun, we're going to put an e on it, e, which makes it an adverb. So heime. Then we're going to put an n on it, which makes it accusative of direction, heimen. She iris heimen. She went homeward. She went home. You've probably heard at some point the song about the Scotsman getting drunk and what happened to him after he passed out beneath a tree by a guy named Mike Cross, and then the famous cover by Brian Bowers, I think his name is. Well, in a translation I've seen of that song into Esperanto, when we see the phrase, he stumbled towards a tree, the person who did the translation very cleverly made up the word tree words. Arbaren comes from arbar, which is a group of trees, plus the adverbial ending e plus towards. Arbaren stumblis li. He stumbled towards the trees. In the next video, we will do a big review of all the stuff we've covered so far. We've done a lot of Esperanto grammar in just a few videos. And finally, I don't have to say thanks for watching, because now you know how accusatives work, and now you know what the preposition pro means, so I can say thank you because you watched, or thank you for the watching. Dankon pro la spectado. Dankon is accusative because I'm giving you thanks, so the thanks are the object of giving, and pro is specifying the reason why. And the la spectado is the watching. So, dankon pro la spectado.